It's not that maybe for 6 months or a year we've been very ready for this moment. For our entire lives, I've been leading up to be ready for this moment. Grew up in between Florida and Georgia. 2008 hit and my dad had a couple loans out that he couldn't pay back and it just completely shut him down. We went from being a well-off family one day to literally completely broke. I went and got 2 jobs, started working to pay the bills at the house. I went and actually applied for a culinary internship at Disney, but while I was still in high school, I was like, the only way I'm gonna figure this out is if I'm more relentless than anyone else. And I worked really hard, but I didn't know how to actually cook. For like 3 years, I'd set up the Food Network on a TV in my bedroom, and I just had it play all the time. And then I read every cookbook I could. I also have these ambitions. I keep telling everyone I'm gonna work at the French Laundry.
My mom was an excellent home chef. I started like cooking with my mom. She would give me little projects, I would help her out with it, and that's really when I fell in love with food. Started reading more about it, the history of dishes, like understanding why things are the way they are. What I did is I opened up the phone book and went through and I just looked at all the restaurants that were in Kennebuck and just started calling them. A man picked up the phone and I was like, hey, I'm calling to see if I can get a job. And he was like, okay, what kind of job do you want? And I was like, whatever. I just want to learn how to cook. And no joke, that call changed my life. I picked up a cookbook called the French Laundry Cookbook. You know, I would read it at night and talk to him about it. He was the one who looked at me and was like, Tyler, why don't you just go work for Chef Keller? I started in October 12, 2012.
One of the chefs that I worked for had worked at the French Laundry. Basically all he told me is like, if you want a job at the French Laundry, you're gonna have to do something big to get their attention. Basically took all my vacation time and flew out to California. All of a sudden there's this big gold sign, the French Laundry. Beautiful building that you've seen in the cookbooks, and I had never seen a Michelin star restaurant. I was like, I'm not ready. Kept driving the car and got to the end of the town, and there's a little store there called Ranch Market. Parked the car, I walk inside, and on the right I see all this wine. I'm looking at the wine bottles when I see one that says Relentless. It was $72, I had $106 in my bank account, and I thought about the same thing that I told myself as a 17-year-old kid, that I had to be relentless. Drove back to the restaurant, gave myself a pep talk, parked the car, walked into the courtyard of the French Laundry, and here I was in the courtyard, and there's the blue door, which is like the famous blue door. And then there was the door that led directly to the kitchen. And I go and I open it, directly in front of me is Chef David Breeden. Something in my brain says, Jason, you have to say something. Otherwise, you have just broken and entered into the French Laundry.
I mean, I worked at the French Laundry for 5 years. I've never seen anyone roll up to a restaurant of that caliber with no stage lined up. Hey, I'm here to talk to the chef.
I didn't even ask for a job. I was like, I would love an opportunity just to work hard. And at the end of it, he was like, do you have black shoes? Yes, chef. Black socks? Yes, chef. Black pants? Yes, chef. White shirt? Yes, chef. Sharp knives? Yes, chef. And he was like, all right. Be here Sunday at noon at the gold door in the back. Sunday comes, I show up, and sure enough, there was a gold door in the back of the French Laundry. I'm walking towards it. Just before I go to open it, there's this other chef coming through, carrying this kit of all these ingredients, right?
Every day that I go to the restaurant, I would play Metallica, Master of Puppets, as loud as I possibly could. That way, the second I showed up to the restaurant, I was legitimately ready to roundhouse kick the first person I saw.
He's darting towards the door with no intention of opening it.
You know, I'm going 10,000 miles an hour, like I'm not gonna let this stupid door get in my way.
And I step in front and I open the door for him, and he like stops and sees me there for the first time and was like, oh, thanks. And so the first person I ever saw at the French Laundry was Tyler. I'm working and I look up and all of a sudden I see the most beautiful girl that I had ever seen. Sunlit from the back, she brought cookies for everyone. And I was like, this girl's incredible. I don't know if this is a restaurant for her. No one brings cookies. No one's that nice.
For the first 2 days, I thought his name was John, but he never corrected me. But I could tell that, there was something different.
There's no chef that ever worked at the French Laundry that it wasn't the hardest restaurant they ever worked at.
There's a lot of people that do have the skill set to hang, but don't have the drive. And then there's the guys like me and Tyler that truly love working at the French Laundry.
At that restaurant, everyone moves at an unbelievable pace.
You're always working towards something greater there. Most of the time you start off, every day sucks. Truly, there's like a breakthrough moment that happens where no matter what gets thrown at you, you are ready to attack it. Getting to that point, the chefs will hold your feet to the fire.
We call it the great equalizer, because sure, you can be an excellent chef, sure, you can be very knowledgeable, but guess what? We change the menu every service.
For about 3 days, I had the worst services of my life. Chef David at the pass, just barbecuing me nonstop. This was my time to be made an example out of. And then Sarah, 3 feet behind him, watching this happen. It was like my lowest point.
I remember Chef David so specifically like yelling at him, but at that time I just was thinking, I'm sorry, that must be like really hard.
There was one day where, you could kind of tell that he was like not really into it. He was struggling because the past couple days certainly taken a toll on him.
For like 3 hours, I didn't do anything. I just couldn't bring myself to actually get any work done. And Tyler walked over and was like, yo, how you looking on this prep list? And he looked at my prep list and I had done nothing. And I was like, well, what is the point? I was like, I'm just gonna work really hard and then all of a sudden get barbecued. He got one of the other sous chefs, and in the 30 minutes that we were supposed to be on break, him and the other sous chef prepped out pretty much my entire station.
And just kind of letting him know, like, you're here to prove to yourself that you can cook at this level, so just fucking do it. Push through it, it's gonna be hard, but you learn a lot more from the tough ones than you do from the good ones.
Sarah was right there, and I thought that she would like stick her nose up at me or not want to talk to me or whatever. And she just smiled. And between Sarah just smiling at me in that moment and Tyler, I was like, if these two people love me when I don't even love myself, it was an eye-opening moment for me. When I was getting towards the end of my time at the laundry, kind of had this epiphany. If I don't do something bigger with my life, I'm just going to keep telling my stories from the French Laundry. I waited about a week. This guy came to buy my car. I came out, I made the deal. He's literally wheeling away, stops, turns, looks at me, and he said, you only have one life. You have to go for it. And I walked back into the restaurant and I put in my notice, and then first time I've ever had like a panic attack. So I went and I was cooking for the executive Apple, and we had this idea that if we could help chefs find truffles that they could tell a story about.
The whole point behind it was Truffle Shuffle was founded as the Honest Truffle Company.
I called Tyler. I have this idea to start a business and I'd like you to help out.
And so I'm like, well, that sounds nuts. But to be completely honest, that's pretty cool.
It was really rough starting out, and I was the last one to leave my full-time job.
Took all the money we had saved up, got it out essentially in cash, and strapped it to one of my buddy's chests and sent him to Italy. In the first 90 days, we made $100,000, and we're like, well, if we just figure out how to make some profit, we could have a real business on our hands here. While I was private chefing, I also would bring the cooler of truffles with me in the car. And so I would be cooking, and then I would like get texts from the chefs, and I would go run and sell truffles and say I was grocery shopping, and then come back to the house. And so the people I worked for, I think, thought I was crazy. Ramping up the fresh truffle business, and at some point we're like, you know what, this isn't scalable. And so we launched our Bolognese truffle salt as our product, and we thought that our truffle salt and truffle honey was going to be the biggest part of our business.
We had no idea how many jars of salt we were gonna sell, right? I locked myself in our house with 2 other individuals, and we made 15,000 jars of finished truffle salt in 1 week.
December 2019.
The best month that we had ever had in the CPG.
January 2020.
Really ramping up to
February 2020.
We were sending out cases and cases of product to Whole Foods.
And we all know what happens in March.
Gavin Newsom just let everyone know that he was shutting the state down, and just like that, it all ended overnight.
Every restaurant that we worked with shut down. Whole Foods called and said they couldn't bring on any new products that were already on their shelves. And I kept seeing flashbacks of like my dad's business failing. All I just did was repeat history.
We're staring at all these truffles that we had in our refrigerator and nowhere to sell them.
We got a phone call from the Battery in San Francisco, and they wanted to know if we would do a virtual cooking class for some of their members. And it was truly just an idea on the spot, on the fly. What if we do something like truffle risotto, and we send everyone everything they need to cook with us step by step, including the truffles.
You know, we're all huddled around this table staring at this computer, and it's like staring into like a crystal ball. You know what I mean? We're like, oh my God, is there gonna be another sale? And
It was selling like crazy.
at this point, you know, we're super excited. We're very pumped. We're doing this now. We're high-fiving each other.
And so I started freaking out as I'm doing the math, and I'm like, Jason, like, hey, we're sold out of truffles. You need to turn this off right now.
Within 3 hours, we completely sold all the fresh truffles.
That when we got to the end of that class, every single person was so proud of what they made that they were holding it up to the camera. It was at that moment that Jason and I and Sarah looked at each other and we realized that we actually did something special that had value.
My mom kept telling me that we have to win Shark Tank. First open casting call that they posted, I bought a plane ticket for me and Tyler to go out there.
I was private chefing the night before, but I literally got on an airplane that night, flew to Las Vegas. Jason showed up and got in line at like 3:30 in the morning. Everyone else has like, you know, their little bag or their little notebook or their backpack. And I roll up and Jason's got like 6 bags, 4 different chairs, and this kid is taking up like 12 feet of space in line.
Basically from there, they tell you that if you're gonna go on the show that you'll get a phone call from a 310 number.
Every single time me or Jason got a phone call from a 310 area code, we picked it up.
I have a phone call coming in from 310, and I answer it, and it's us moving to the next round of Shark Tank.
When the guys got the call that they were going to be on Shark Tank, it was really, really exciting, but kind of knew it was going to happen. We were talking and saying like, we're going to be on Shark Tank.
We're super pumped. We're juiced up.
He's like, what do we do? I was like, I don't know how to explain this, but I need to smash something.
We got these chairs. We go outside, and legitimately me and Jason and Ian are out there just breaking these chairs.
Non-stop practicing the pitch.
All day, every day.
We would practice pitching while Jerry Springer was playing.
It is so hard to have on and not be like, what do these people look like?
We just, again, kept practicing the pitch. We literally just practiced the pitch.
The only thing I could imagine it being close to is like getting ready to go over the top in the First World War, like out of the trenches or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you're standing there, you have so much excitement, so much energy, so much has been riding on this.
That's the only moment. Like there's no redos. You don't ever get to go on Shark Tank again. Hustle to me is having ambitions that far exceed your talents.
You have to rely upon every instinct, every ounce of energy, every resource.
Failure is not an option.
And those doors opened and we walked in.